Check, check, check. Start the countdown, y'all. Wagwan, everybody. I am your Jamaican Queen, Miss Y. Excuse me. You are tuned into How I See It TV, and this is How I See It Live. Please remember to like this video, share the link to my channel if you feel like the content needs some more crowd. Subscribe if you have not done so as yet. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, now called X, at How I See It, and on TikTok at How I See It TV. Happy New Year to you too, Miss D. Yes, I have been trying to be a little bit more consistent in putting out content. Haven't been doing, well for the new year in terms of my consistency, but I'm still trying, and I think that's what counts, right? But we're here to talk about the Real Housewives of Potomac and all the mean spirited behavior that exists amongst the cast. It started, really and truly, it started in season one. But in season one, it was a little bit more lighthearted. It wasn't as dark as it has gotten at this point. It was mean spirited behavior when Ashley went out there in season one and had a private investigator dig into Robin's finances, and she was out there, spreading Robin's tea about how Robin only had like 20 cents in her bank account, not knowing the history behind why Robin was in debt. It was mean spirited behavior when Monique joined the show in season two, and for whatever reason, Giselle disliked this woman so much that she was in this lady's house. She was in Monique's house talking about how Monique talked too much, just being hella disrespectful. It was mean spirited behavior when before we get to Candace, mean spirited behavior in season three when Monique had got into a car accident and they started, Giselle, Ashley, Robin, of it all, they started to put out this false narrative that Monique got into a car accident because she has a drinking problem. And Ashley made it seem as if the reason Monique had a miscarriage was because of her drinking. Ashley, even though Ashley apologized to Monique's face, Ashley went back to the confessionals and said, "Make no mistakes. I made no mistake," in terms of what she said. She literally went to the confessionals and doubled down on it. That was mean spirited and nasty behavior. It was mean spirited behavior, mean spirited behavior when Candace joined and Gizzele and Charisse, they wanted to gang up on Candace. And Candace and Monique and Ashley in her ear saying, "Listen, if I were you, I wouldn't let those old Betties talk to me like that. I would cuss them out and walk off." And then when Candace did exactly that, Monique threw her under the bus, said she did too much. Because really, what Monique wanted was for Candace to go at Giselle's neck, not Sharice's. So when it backfired, she had to throw Candace under the bus and pretend like she was the one that gave Candace the advice to stand up for herself. It was mean spirited behavior in season 4 when Ashley told Candace, "Hold me accountable if you see me drinking too much because my doctor and Michael, because I'm trying to have a baby, they want me to stop drinking." And when Candace did exactly that, Ashley threw her under the bus, had all the women coming at Candace's neck, even though Ashley knew that what Candace was doing was because she asked Candace to do it. And it was nasty to see Monique flip on Candace after Monique survived a season 3 of horrible allegations as it pertains to her drinking too much and having a miscarriage because she's drinking too much. And the only person that had her back that entire time was Candace. But because Ashley went to the season 3 reunion and shared that she also had a miscarriage, everybody came back season 4 acting like Ashley was just misbreakable. So Candace was on an island by herself. And then it continued into season 5 of them wanting to gang up on Candace the whole season before Monique violently assaulted her. And the only reason why they ended up taking Candace's side is because at the end of the day, Giselle never liked Monique. The truth is, they wanted to get Candace out of there first. And then they were going to come after Monique when Candace was gone. But Monique was just too unhinged. She assaulted Candace. So Giselle, the leader of the Mean Girl pack, iced Monique out to the point where, girl, you would have had to quit. Because Monique loved to say she wasn't fired. But at the end of the day, you would have had to quit because coming back for season 6, nobody was going to film with you. Robin was going to follow Giselle. Ashley, at the end of the day, is more loyal to Giselle than anybody else on that show. And truth be told, Candace, in my opinion, would not have a need to film with you because you assaulted her. So at the end of the day, who would have filmed with you in season 6? You had to quit. That was made clear at the reunion, at the season 5 reunion. And the mean spiritedness continued. It continued. Wendy getting assaulted. Wendy getting assaulted and then being treated like dog poop under somebody's shoe. With Giselle looking in her face and saying, "I don't like her, so I didn't care that she was assaulted." How disgusting. Then it continued with lies being spread about Chris Bassett. Giselle knowing good and well she invited that man into her dressing room. She thought her team was in there. But man, the second you went into the dressing room and you saw that your team wasn't there, if you felt uncomfortable, all you had to say to the man was, "You know what? I don't feel comfortable having, being alone in a room with somebody's husband. So let's just talk in the dressing room." But she knew good and well that Chris Bassett wasn't trying to come at her in any kind of intimate or romantic way, especially not with the entire cast downstairs, including his wife. And Giselle waited 6 months for cameras to start rolling because Ashley, they all, listen, they all came up with this plot with Ashley saying, "Oh, Chris Samuels was in my DMs." Not yeah, Chris Bassett, sorry. Chris Bassett was in my DMs. I thought he was trying to, hook up with my homegirl. Ashley knew that was a lie. And Giselle jumped on that and said, "You know what? I'm going to use this opportunity to make it seem like this man did something untoward toward me, that he did something inappropriate that made me feel uncomfortable." And Candace tried to brush it off her shoulder. But it continued and it continued with Ashley saying more disgusting things. Then Robin going into a scene with Mia and Mia saying Chris did something inappropriate to her too. Ashley's friend talking about Chris was trying to get with her. And it just continued and continued and continued. And now we're at a point, season 10. We are at a point where this show, and I agree with you, Miss D, the show is just getting so hard to watch. It was always a little bit hard to watch for me because I saw the microaggressions towards Candace. I saw the microaggressions towards Wendy, and a lot of people hated when we pointed out colorist behavior. Maybe they weren't colorists, but they definitely had colorist behavior. And I did a whole video on that, pointing out all the instances of colorist behavior on The Real Housewives of Potomac, especially within the fan base, where you have so many people saying, Candace is just so vile. She says vile things. But when we go back to Ashley Darby's history from season 1 to now, Ashley has said and done more vile things on this platform unprovoked when we compare it to what Candace has said and done on this show. And the fact of the matter is, Candace was always provoked. She never just jumped up and started just reading people for filth just because she felt like it. Candace has never brought nasty rumors about people's husbands or people's marriages to the show. Candace used to come in every season minding her business, being just joyful and happy, and then these women start picking at her. And then when she claps back, everybody's like, "Oh my god, you took it too far." Giselle lied on her husband. She lied. And people say, "Oh, she didn't accuse him of sexual assault." That's because y'all didn't watch all the interviews she did. Because the Carlos King interview that Giselle did, some of the other interviews that she did, she made it seem like Chris Bassett did wanted to or tried to or did something to her in that dressing room. It was only when Candace pushed the issue on that reunion where they wore the blue, that was when Giselle apologized because she said, "Well, maybe I said the wrong thing. It was just that I was uncomfortable in this, and it's fine for me to be uncomfortable." Yes, it's fine for you to be uncomfortable, but what's not fine is for you to add sauce to what happened to make this man seem as if he was a deviant like Michael Darby. And truth be told, we never saw Giselle go at Michael Darby and talk about Michael Darby in the way that she talked about Chris Bassett, in the way that she lied on Chris Bassett. We have Ashley talking about Sharice looked like a walrus in season 3 and how she had long, shriveled up titties. But then when Candace called her wide bodied ass in season 6, all of a sudden it's, oh my God, Candace is just this horrible person. She's body shaming me. Girl, it was body shaming when you were telling Karen that Ray's penis was old and shriveled and all of that. It was age shaming in season 2 when you were saying that the older women on the cast were miserable because they were going through menopause. It was body shaming when you were calling Sharice a mother of two, pointing out that her titties were long and she needed to go fix them. It was absolutely disgusting in season 3 when Ashley was telling Katie Ross that she wasn't mentally strong enough to be in the group. And the reason why Ashley was saying that to Katie at that point in time is because everybody knew at that point in time that Katie Ross had just suffered a miscarriage, which is why the reaction from everybody when Ashley said, Katie, I think you're just not mentally strong enough to be in this group. Everybody was like, whoa, 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 wait up. Katie, you are strong enough. That's vile. And Katie was supposed to be her friend, but Ashley was just annoyed because Katie was honest enough to say Michael Darby was out here grabbing people's booties. Yes, you are my friend, but I'm not going to sugarcoat and lie to you. Girl, you know that your husband is out here being inappropriate on these cameras. They caught Michael Darby twice assaulting somebody on camera. And Ashley wanted Katie to ride for her to the point of lying, and Katie wouldn't do it. So because Katie didn't do it, Ashley said, I don't think you're mentally strong enough to be in this group, knowing that her friend had just suffered a miscarriage. And the people wanted me to believe that Candace says more vile things than Ashley does. Because how do you look into your friend's eyes knowing that she just lost a baby that she wanted and tell her she's not strong enough simply because she won't lie to you and tell you that your husband isn't wrong when he is? And that same season, even though everybody was calling out Michael Darby's deviance, I don't know, for want of a better word, nasty behavior, or should I have said deviant behavior, Candace was the only person that Ashley referred to as a rabid dog because Candace wasn't letting her foot up off of Michael Darby's neck. But Candace wasn't the only one in season 4 that said Michael Darby said that he wanted to swallow up one of her husband's sausages. Candace wasn't the only one. But she was the only one who was referred to as a dog for speaking up. But then the people don't want to believe that the mean spirited behavior on that show is rooted in colorist behavior when it is. We watched at the start of the season how they were coming for Stacy. And everybody's calling Stacy a liar. Stacy's a liar. Stacy's a liar. And I'm looking at all the people calling Stacy a liar. And I'm like, Giselle, you can be calling anybody a liar when all you've done since you started this show is lie on people, their husbands, and their marriages. I know Ashley not calling somebody a liar when you sat on the show and lied that a woman had a miscarriage because she was drinking too much. You lied that Chris Bassett was trying to holler at your homegirl. You lied constantly for Michael Darby and his inappropriate behavior. Like, what are we talking about? And not to mention Wendy, girl, you're out here caught up in a whole scheme, about to go to court because of fraud. You are accused of credit card fraud. Like, let's get for real. The show is full of liars. But Stacy lies about her own life. She's not lying about what other people got going on. Stacy tells untruths to keep y'all out of her business. And quite frankly, I don't mind that. And I know a lot of people on social media, they say, oh, y'all are going up for Stacy. It's okay to check, check, check. Yeah, she lies. But Stacy's lies aren't harming people's families. She's not spreading rumors about children's paternity. That's not what Stacy out here doing. Thank you, Miss D. I don't mind Stacy's white lies. Stacy's husband doesn't want to be around y'all. And rather than Stacy just saying, listen, my husband don't want to be around these heifers, she said, he's gonna be out of town. I recall, I recall one of my coworkers when my daughter was around a year old. I recall one of my coworkers, she had like 3 kids at the time. And she's like, "Oh my God, I have I have clothes, old clothes that I think could fit your daughter. I have a whole bag of clothes. I was gonna give them away, but I mean, if you want them." And you know what I said to her? I said, "Oh my God, that's so kind of you, but my husband would not like that." He doesn't like the idea of our daughter wearing people's hand-me-downs. But thank you though. But the reality is, it was me. I did not like that. I did not like the idea of my daughter wearing anybody's hand me down, especially the hand me downs of somebody that I work with. And do you know why? Because there was somebody else at that job who used to give somebody else their daughter's hand me downs. And that kid will wear the things that, was handed down to her. And that lady was, "Oh my God, that's my daughter's shoes. I gave it to them." And I hated that. And I'm very much like, I guess, passive aggressive. So I'll be like, that's not nice. With a smile on my face. But she thought I was being funny. And I wasn't. I was really being like serious. Like, don't do that. But that had nothing to do with my husband. I just didn't want the clothes. So I had no issue with Stacy saying he's gonna be out of town. Cause I get it. Does that make her like this horrible liar? I don't think so. Stacy tells untruths about her own life and her own situation. And uh, I couldn't for the life of me understand why they're so caught up with what's his name, TJ of it all, and whether Stacy hired him to come on the show to pretend to be her man. When Giselle, you had Jamal Bryant on the show pretending to be your man in season 5. Y'all weren't really together. You just needed a storyline. So I don't understand all this hoopla over TJ. When Giselle, you did the same thing. Monique came with her binder and exposed the things that Jamal was saying via text to the woman he was actually dating at the time. Where he was telling that lady, that's just for entertainment. We're not really together. But Stacy's just such a liar. That's crazy. It's all like, I feel like, are we living in the Twilight Zone? Where everybody is just on their high horse about Stacy lying, when the main ones who are calling Stacy a liar are liars themselves. That's why I pretty much don't care about the things that Stacy says to these women, because the people who are calling it out are liars, proven liars, and they tell harmful lies. That's the gag. Y'all tell lies that can destroy people's lives, other people's lives. Stacy tells lies to keep y'all out of her business. So who's worse? In my opinion, the rest of them are worse than Stacy. Even Tia got caught up last episode lying on Stacy. Everybody wants it to be this big deal that Stacy hung out with Chris Samuels. Stacy does not know Monique. She wasn't around when Monique was on the show. Monique and Chris Samuels, they have been divorced for a while now. And at the point in time we saw Stacy in that picture with Chris Samuels, him and Monique were already divorced. So what is the big deal? And Stacy never said, I don't know him. She said, I know him socially. That's it. That's all. Why is it such a big deal? And the mean spiritedness started with Stacy this season. And now they have set their sights on Angel. Now they've set their sights on Angel. And I've gotten to like Angel because I always tell y'all, I decide whether or not I like somebody on reality TV, not based on just what happens in scenes. I go to their social media. I see what's happening there. I watch all their interviews because, again, I am a social commentator, right? Pop culture commentator. I'm not just giving commentary on the shows. I like to have accurate context. And we know that reality TV is a strongly edited down version of what was actually filmed. These women film for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Sometimes they're filming for 10 hours, 12 hours for a whole day. And we get 45 minutes of what they actually filmed. The producer's job, the producer's job is to tell a story. The producer's job is to tell a story. The story they want to tell regarding Gizzele is that she's in charge of the girls. The story they want to tell as it relates to the other women is that Gizzele is their leader and they are blindly following. The story they want to tell is that Gizzele and Monique had this one meetup and they agreed that they will throw shade in each other's faces. And now Gizzele and Monique are just cool beans, keying with each other. That's the story that they want to tell. They want to tell the story that Gizzele was just so nasty and so rude to Wendy. And now they're just BFFs out here. That's the story they're telling us. When we know the reality is not so, the story they want to tell us is that Tia, not Tia, Angel rented that Airbnb and that Angel knew that there was water issues and electricity issues and air conditioning issues and that she did nothing to fix it. And Gizzele had to swoop in and get accommodations for them at the Four Seasons. That's the story they're trying to tell. The story they're trying to tell is that Potomac has had such luxurious trips that this is just the worst trip that they've ever been on. I was floored when Wendy Osefa said that this trip is top one worst trip. Girl, the season 6 trip should have been on the top of your list as the top one worst trip where you were assaulted and then ostracized by the group as if you did something wrong. That should have been top one worst trip for you. I was floored when Wendy said that. Because now we're acting as if the accommodations that Mia found for them in the hood part of Miami was just 5 stars. When some of them were sleeping in the basement with the pipe next to their beds, and every time somebody flushed the toilet upstairs, you could hear the water running down. Like, let's be for real. So when Wendy said that, I was like, I know y'all lying. Y'all got one good trip. One good trip. Well, let's be fair. I might not see it for Monique, but that trip that they had, that she was the host of, to what where was it? Paris, I think they went to season 3. That was a good trip too. Actually, I think last season, no, or that was Wendy. Wendy's trip too last season was a good trip. So they've been in 10 seasons, they've been on 3 good trips. And they're making this one. And another thing that I can't stand when it comes to the Potomac fan base is that some of them act like they don't understand how reality TV is set up. Angel didn't get that house. Like, let's be for real. We know this. Angel was not the one that got the house. Production got the house. Production paid for the house. All Angel can do is call production and say, the ladies are telling me that they're having water issues, they're having electricity issues, they're having air conditioning issues at the house. Y'all need to get on the phone with the homeowners, the property managers. And at the point in time that these women were complaining, they hadn't even been at the house yet for 24 hours. People forget they arrived in Colorado. They got dropped off at the house. They were there to freshen up so that they could leave and go to Angel's house for dinner. All these people on social media are acting as if the women were at the house for 24 hours. There was all these issues. They didn't hear from Angel and it's just a mess. They weren't even there for 24 hours yet. Even when they woke up and got on the private jet, they still were not there for 24 hours yet. And she was actively trying to fix the situation. She got on the private jet the next day. She tried to apologize. And here goes Giselle with her nasty spirit yelling at this woman. Even as she's explaining all the fixes, I've done this, I've called this person, I'm truly apologetic, da 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 da. Giselle is yelling at this woman. And quite frankly, I wish Candace was there because, girl, who you yelling at? I understand that you're frustrated, but let's not act as if we don't know how this goes. This is a production issue, not an Angel issue. Even Giselle talking about I got us in the fourth season. I saw on social media where this content creator was saying that they owe Angel an apology because they're understanding that production was the one that got the house. They got some inside scoop, and they were told that Angel gave production options regarding, houses that were available at the time. And that was the house that production picked. When they got there, they know that there were issues, and immediately Giselle started to complain. I don't think Giselle started to complain because there was water pressure issues or any of that. Giselle started to complain and called people high up because she didn't want to sleep on a double bed. That was Giselle's issue, and I believe it. And Giselle is what you get when you have a light-skinned woman with light eyes and blonde hair who people have been telling her whole life, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. And she doesn't show up with anything else going on for her but the fact that she's a beautiful woman. She can lie, and that is overlooked, and she's rewarded. She can keep whatever is happening in her private life a secret while she terrorizes other people on the cast who are actually sharing their lives, because that's what you're supposed to do on a reality TV show. Share aspects, share the truth about aspects of your life. And Giselle can keep all of that covered up and still gets rewarded by being on all these other spin-offs. Who in the high up is Giselle messing around with that we need to see her on Love Hotel be boring, and now we gotta see her on the Housewives Ultimate Road Trip being boring? Who is asking for Giselle? Because there ain't nobody asking for Giselle. There is no, especially the areas of social media that I frequent, there is nobody that's just saying, oh my God, I love Giselle so much that she needs to be on every TV show that Peacock and NBC Universal are producing in the Bravo world. No one is saying that. The only thing people say is she's beautiful. Giselle is not that entertaining. And then Carlos out here telling people Giselle is the force multiplier. Where? Where? Miss Karen Huger, she was the force multiplier. Let me tell y'all why. Because Karen did not like a gang up. Karen wasn't out here lying on people's husbands. Karen would lie about her own life, but she wasn't out here lying on people's husbands. And at the least, Karen was entertaining. Karen would go to the reunion and she wouldn't freeze up. She would be reading them down. Karen knew how to pivot. And when she had issues with people, she would read them down, and then the next scene, she can be cordial. Don't come for her, she won't come for you. Giselle, on the other hand, because she can't read you for filth, She gets all the little followers on the cast to side with her and ice people out. And there's no one on the cast that has enough of a brain to say, the issue you have with this person, that's your issue. We're on a reality TV show. This is not the AKA dorm. You are nobody's line sister or sorority leader on this show. We're grown women and we're supposed to be showing that we can navigate a friend group, all the conflicts that arise. We can navigate them. We can argue today and we can make up tomorrow because at the end of the day, we are friends. Giselle doesn't know how to do that. And she literally thinks that she is powerful because that's the only reason that you can talk to people the way you talk to them. You can treat people the way you treat them. You can lie and not even talk about your own life. And you continue to be rewarded as the face of the show. You can be boring as wet paint drying on a wall, child. But let's be clear. Watching paint dry is probably more entertaining than Giselle. Watching paint dry is more entertaining than watching Giselle on this show. And if last night has did not convince the viewers of The Real Housewives of Potomac that Giselle is a nasty, mean spirit, and that all these women, even Kiana, who's supposed to be Angel's friend of 20 plus years, doesn't have enough backbone to tell the women at the table, don't talk about my friend's marital life and her dynamic with her husband. I've been around them for umpteen years. So I know that their marriage is good. I mean, even if you don't know that their marriage is strong, that's your friend. And people are at the table speaking down on her marriage and her life and the dynamics with her and her husband. And you aren't saying nothing, Kay. You're just there being a follower. Quite frankly, I didn't think that it was that deep that Angel said, let me check in with Bobby because I didn't plan on him, putting the kids to bed by himself. We don't know how her kids are. We don't know if it's difficult putting them two children to bed. We don't know. If my husband and I had a previous conversation where I said, okay, the ladies are coming over for dinner, they're going to leave at a certain time, da 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 da, and then something changes and people are inviting me out, I don't want my friends to judge me because I said, you know what? Let me run it by my husband first. That doesn't mean he has control over me. It means that I have enough respect for our home life and for his time in the same way that I expect him to respect my time as well. Because if my husband is out on road with his friends and he told me, okay, I'm gonna be back by 10 and something changes, I would definitely expect for him to give me a call and say, hey, babe, I'm going to be out for about 2 more hours. Everything good? Yeah, sure. Her checking in with her husband doesn't mean that this man is going to say, no, you can't go to a sleepover with your friends. That's not what that meant. And for all those women at that little, round table making it seem like it's just so weird, I was like, maybe my marriage is weird then. Because I'm not going for a sleepover and not telling my husband. I, I guess that's weird by their standards. And I don't feel like anything is wrong with a woman who is just, because this is how I felt when I was a new mom. And, Angel is not a new mom per se. But I even feel that way now. My daughter is 8 years old. I don't like leaving her. Everywhere I go right now, my daughter goes with me. I'm not a clubber or anything like that. So it's not about the nightlife or anything like that. But if I'm going to the store, my daughter goes with me. If I got to go to work on a weekend, my daughter goes with me. I like being around my kid. My child does not bother me. Okay. I wanted to go to Melody's Winter Wonderland last year, and the first thing I did when I was planning on going was to find out if I was able to bring my daughter with me. And if I was going to if I ended up going to Winter Wonderland last year, mm, a lot of people would have met my 8-year old daughter. Well, she's about to be 8 this week. This weekend, she's turning 8. So there are moms out there who just love being around their kids, and they have a little bit of an anxiety when they have to leave them. I have a little bit of an anxiety when I have to leave my daughter. When my husband and I, if we have a date night and my mother-in-law is babysitting, I'm gonna be, when my daughter had her cell phone, I think 2 years ago, I would call her like, everything's okay. I don't think anything is wrong with that. Maybe there is some psychological thing. I don't know. But I didn't feel like Angel was doing anything wrong. I don't feel like Angel said anything wrong when she said she just wanted to be home with her kids. I didn't feel like anything was wrong with that. I don't feel like Angel is a bad housewife. And I do feel like the mean-spirited behavior started on the first girls trip when they brought up that catfish situation. And then with what's her face, Jassy or whatever her name is, bringing up that foolishness about Angel stealing money from Bobby and stuff like that. And the pylon just continued and it continued. Angel did lose me though when Gizzele brought up the catfish, but the energy was for Wendy. But then listening to her interviews, I understood why her energy was for Wendy. It's because Wendy was acting as if she didn't know Angel. But when you go down Angel's Instagram timeline from years and years and years and years and years ago, Wendy is all up in her likes and in her comments. And then when Angel shared that when her mom died, her and Wendy used to text, and Wendy was literally like providing comfort, trying to relate with Angel. Wendy's stepfather had died probably a year or so before Angel's mom died, and Wendy was basically texting her saying, I don't know exactly what you're going through, but I had a parent who died, as well. So I feel like I can relate, and it's grief. And so why does Angel now join the cast? And you're pretending as if you don't know this woman. Angel comes to your house, and she has dinner at your home. Her kids and your kids, they're out there playing football in the grass. the husbands are connecting, and then when y'all go to the horse racing thing with the governor, I don't remember the name of it. When they go to the lunch at Kiana's house, Wendy, you threw Angel under the bus. Because even if when she was talking to you, she felt like you know what, I have to talk to Kiana because her talking about she chin checked me or whatever, it's upsetting me. Ain't nobody chin checking me. Okay. She went home, she slept on it, and she woke up the next day and she felt like I don't have to have a raw energy towards my friend of 20 plus years because some women who I basically just started to get to know want me to have an issue with her. I can talk to my friend one on one and I can let it go. But Wendy, you threw her under the bus. And so I get why Angel kept coming for Wendy. I don't feel like it's because of a colorism issue. I think it's because she genuinely felt like her and Wendy I think she honestly felt like her and Wendy were cool. And she didn't understand why Wendy kept coming at her sideways. I think she felt like I don't know Giselle like that. So her coming for me, it's whatever. But girl, I know you. What is this energy you keep giving me? But when you're watching it on the show, it just starts to feel like, girl, Giselle is the one that said catfish, but you keep trying to cuss Wendy out. Giselle is the one that did XYZ, but you keep wanting to have an issue with Wendy. Now I understand it. It's because there's a history with Wendy, and Angel wasn't understanding what Wendy's issue was with her. Why is the energy every time we're on camera different from what it is when we're off camera? And this is why I love context. Yeah, she told Angel one on one. I'm trying to remember like how, because when they were doing the bachelorette party thing for Jassy, something happened that made Angel cry. And I don't remember exactly what it is. And I was assuming that it was what Jassy said. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong. There was still no reason to go at Wendy the way she did. Angel thought she was going to be head wag, not head wag on the show, and she got humbled. But the meanness has gone too far. Yeah, and that's where I am with it too, Miss D. That the meanness, the mean spirited behavior towards Angel is just at an all time just high, and it's not necessary. He said, I'm 50-50 on that. Angel was working. She's on a reality show. When she's hosting, she should have expected her to be out of pocket the whole time they were there. Ah! I agree. I'm an interior decorator and I'm happy to see paint dry, but Jizzy not so much. I don't know what's happening. He said, I can only judge Angel based on what I see on TV. I find her interviews ridiculous after the fact. She runs around defending herself when she gets paid to do it on TV. I think Angel is learning. I think Angel is learning in real time. There are a lot of people who join reality TV, I feel, who come in thinking it's going to be one way, and then when the filming process starts, they realize that it's not what they assumed it was going to be. A lot of people feel like I can come into reality TV, I'm going to be my real authentic self, and people are going to like me, and da 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 da. And when filming starts and they start to see how people, flip a switch on and off when based on when cameras are on, it starts to get overwhelming. And then there are people who they are doing their job during filming, but the way things are edited, it just makes them, because I quite frankly don't believe that those men just sat there smoking their cigars while Angel was introducing the women to them. I don't believe that. And I heard a content creator share that that particular scene was filmed several times. They do that. I remember when one season of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Cynthia and somebody else popped up to a venue. I think it was a restaurant or something. And there was a fan of the show who was like outside in the parking lot, and the fan shared video evidence that Cynthia, and I think it was Kenya or Cynthia and Portia, but it was Cynthia and somebody else. The fan shared that they filmed Cynthia and the next person walking into the restaurant like 2 or 3 times. They filmed them walking in, and then they had to walk out and do the whole thing all over again. So I do believe that. There is also something in reality TV that is called um, room sound, okay? And it's where you'll be in a scene, you'll be filming a scene and talking, 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 talking. And then whoever the director is, will say, okay, everybody quiet, we need room sound. So the people who are mic'd up, they stop talking and they just record the room sound. And then what they do with that is when they are editing, and splicing up bits and pieces and whatever, and to make it seem like somebody said something first when they actually said that thing last, is they use the room sound. So it doesn't seem spliced up because the background noise is the same. Sometimes when you're watching these reality TV shows, you hear people saying something, but you don't see that person on camera. The background noise sound the same, but face, the reason why they can't show you the person's face is because you will pick up that, wait a minute, she didn't say that in response to that, because the clips don't match up. Because maybe at the time the person said XYZ, they had a fork in their hand. And by the time they said something else, now they have a cup to their mouth. They can't use the clips, but they can use the audio because the room sound is the same. So when that content creator shared that little behind the scenes tea, that they filmed that scene of the ladies walking in and the men sitting down, they filmed that several times. I believe it because I don't think in real life men of that stature are just going to be just sitting there looking at these women that they're meeting for the first time, just puffing their cigars and not saying anything. That's not realistic to me. I don't care how rude we feel people are. They know they're being filmed. So even if they are nasty, mean-spirited individuals in real life, and I'm talking about those men, I just believe that they would have put on a show. And I think the producers wanted to tell a story that these men were just rude when that wasn't the case. And when you sign certain waivers on for these shows, when you sign waivers to be filmed, you're signing away your rights as it pertains to how they portray you. So I'm sure when the women first walk in, those men said hello. And then when they walked in the second time, they probably said hello again. And then the cameras just caught them at a point in time where they were puffing the cigars. And now they use that to tell a story of the women walked in and these men were rude. I'm just saying. Real Housewives of Potomac is getting very hard to watch. Even Monique coming back and fixing her mouth to speak on Angel's marriage in a negative way, I just felt like even if Monique had some concerns, Monique, you're coming back as somebody who understands the reality TV game. You understand that things that you say on these shows can be used against you. You understand what it is like to have people speak on your marriage. You understand what it's like to be judged while people don't know you. So I feel like even if Monique had those concerns genuinely, she shouldn't have shared them with the other women. She should have went to the confessionals and said in the confessionals, I have some concerns regarding, you know, what Angel said. I feel like it's similar to my experience. And so I'm not going to say anything to the women. I'm going to speak to Angel one on one. That's what Monique should have done. But instead, she added to the pylon. And then you add to the pylon, and then you're going to say in last night's episode, oh, I feel like everybody's being hard on Angel. Girl, you are a part of the everybody that's being hard on Angel. And Giselle is just so disgusting that Angel is sitting there and she's crying because now she's overwhelmed. And I get what Angel meant when she said, it's hard when I am sharing the essence of who I am and I'm being honest about who I am. And everything I say, people flip it and they're trying to paint me as somebody that I am not. And when you are an empathetic person, when you feel things deeply, when you're not an extrovert, people might misunderstand you. And it's hard to feel misunderstood. It's hard to have people yelling in your face constantly. And Angel is crying, and all these other women are there trying to comfort her. And here comes Giselle pulling everybody away in just the nastiest of ways, like, oh, let's go. She's crying. She's sharing emotions. She's opening up. And now your mean spirited big sister Giselle pulling everybody away from Angel because she doesn't need to be comforted. I don't know. Potomac is just going downhill. And the person who has been decasting this show, who's been making this show hard to watch for seasons now, is Giselle. And I need the production company and the network to realize that and get rid of her. And get rid of Ashley too while you're at it. But if I could pick or choose which one needs to go first, I would say Giselle. She isn't given anything but her looks. She's not funny. She doesn't know how to bring people together. She's not a girl's girl. She doesn't know how to handle conflict in a way that calls for real resolution. She is a liar, and the lies that she tells, they're dangerous. So let's get rid of her, even for one season, and let's see how the show will progress. But anyways, y'all, yeah, I do think that Monique was projecting. But the reason why I say she was speaking negatively is because, in my opinion, what Monique was saying is that something must be wrong in Angel's marriage. And that's where I draw she's speaking on her marriage negatively. because you're putting negative energy on somebody else's situation. Mind you, Monique doesn't know Angel. She doesn't know Angel. She doesn't know Bobby in the sense of him being a married man. She hasn't spent any time with these people to know the dynamics of their marriage. So, yes, I agree. She was projecting heavily. And I love when Angel said, "Oh, you think that that's my lived experience?" Because it's not. Projection. That's projection. Don't project onto me your lived experience. Not because something I said triggered you means that we are living, a shared experience. Monique had nannies. As much as she was like, Chris didn't do the Chris wasn't a hands-on dad. Da, 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 da. Girl, you had nannies. Now I don't know what else happened in Monique's marriage, but her presenting as if she was just doing it all by herself and had no help is a load of crack because she had nannies. What I've seen of Bobby is that he's very hands on in his home and very helpful as a husband. That's what we've seen on the show. He said, "I'm not getting complete honesty from Angel. I think she's fronting a little bit." But aren't they all? Just a little. However, I don't think that she is in an unhappy marriage. I don't think that's her life story. I don't think that Bobby is a horrible partner. I don't think that Angel is about to be at her breaking point, in her marriage, and is about to snap on people and beat people up because she's just so unfulfilled in her marriage. I don't think that's the case. I just think that Angel is navigating motherhood. And as I shared earlier, there are some moms, I don't know what the psychological term is for it or whatever, but there are some moms who have deep anxiety when they're away from their children. They would rather just be in the house with their kids. And I'm like that. I would just rather be at home with my daughter. I am I'm a little bit of an introvert, or a lot of a lot of bit of an introvert. I really would just prefer being at home with my child. That makes me happy. I'm the happiest when I am home with my baby. And I'll be in my room and she'll be in her room and I'll call her and I'll be like, "Come." And she comes and she sits on the bed with me and she watches her iPad and I watch my show, or I'll be on my phone, but just she's here. I have anxiety when she goes off to school because, oh my God, this is America and there's so many crazy stuff that's happening. You know what I mean? The job that I'm in, I've been in this job be- because because I wanted to work in an environment. When she was a baby, I wanted to work in an environment where I could see her. So I am a pre-K teacher, but a part of my school, at the time, they had, you know, um, a toddler room and all these things. So I could work, and on my lunch break, I could walk by and I could see my child. And I'm here thinking at some point, maybe middle school, maybe high school, she's gonna be homeschooled because some of the craziness and the bullying and stuff that happens in these schools give me deep anxiety. So I get it from that standpoint. You said that's the same with Monique, and Nanny said she had help but still wanted an active parent with the kids. I don't know. Again, I can't speak on Monique's marriage. Maybe she's telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And I think everybody's experience, his side of the story might be different from her side of the story. He probably felt like he was helping, and probably what he was doing on her side was just not good enough, you know? But anyways, y'all, that's my take. I'm over Giselle. I'm over all these women being followers. I am so sick and tired of Real Housewives of Potomac being the Real Housewives of the Mean Girls. It's just it's making the show hard to watch. There's nothing funny about seeing women, you know, haze and bully and just be mean spirited towards somebody else. Nobody wants to watch that. We watch these reality TV shows for fun shade, light shade. All this darkness that surrounds this show, for me, the darkness started in season 5 and it just never went away. It became super heavy in season 5 and that heaviness just it just has not gone away. And we need it to go away. And maybe, just maybe, it will go away if they get rid of Giselle. She's at the root of the issues on that show. All right, y'all. Yes, and Ashley too. Thank you for that. Get rid of Ashley too. But that's how I see it, y'all. Drop down in the comment section below. Let me know how you see things too. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter now called X at How I See It, and on TikTok at How I See It TV. Until my next live stream or my next video, walk good. Bye. Thank you, Steve, for chatting with me. Bye, y'all.